Remember everyone, Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig was the greatest wrestler to ever live, because nobody beats Mr. Perfect. Nobody. Alright everyone, hello and welcome to episode number 5 of Curt Hennig Was the Best, Changed My Mind. I am your host, Steph. Today on our Perfect podcast, we are going to do a watch-along of Curt's babyface turn in 92 November. If you would like to watch along with me, please go to YouTube and in the search field, please type Macho Man Randy Savage Picks the Perfect Partner 11/16/92. We will watch along and I will stop from time to time to make comments. But before we start, you can find this podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Go to patreon.com and in the search field type Mr. Perfect is perfect with the spaces between the words to become a Patreon and support my show. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, when I say now, go ahead and play the video. When I say pause, please pause your video so that I can make comments about the video. Alright, and we're back. So, I'm going to hit play, and then I'm also going to hit pause from time to time so that I can make, little comments about this, kind of add my 2 cents in while we watch along. Again, we are going to watch the primetime wrestling from November 16th, 1992. This is when Curt Hennig turned babyface in 92. Okay? Alright, when I say now, you want to push play. Okay? Now. And I think it's kind of cool how, if everyone remembers that, let's remember that the reason why they turned Curt babyface is because the Ultimate Warrior and Davey Boy Smith got popped for human growth hormones. Okay, I want you to hit pause for me. I just hit pause. So, again, I was talking about, those rumors, Vince says rumors, about the Ultimate Warrior not being in the Survivor Series. It's because him and Davey Boy Smith got popped, got popped for human growth hormones. So, I just think it's funny. It's like, we heard these rumors. Yeah, we heard rumors, alright. Alright. I'm going to say hit play, and I want you to hit play for me, okay? So we're going to keep going with this. Push play now.
Must now choose a new tag team partner for the Survivor Series here at the 11th hour. With that in mind, we bring to you now, from Sarasota, Florida, courtesy of our studios in WJZY, here is the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Macho Man Randy Savage, Jack Tunney, president of the WWF.
And I wonder when they were doing these interviews, like, they're on a radio, it kind of sounded like they were on a radio station or maybe like a TV studio station from Florida. But I wonder if they were really in Florida or North Carolina as they billed them from.
Excuse me one moment, but I'm sure, Randy Savage, you've given us a great deal of thought, and Bobby Heenan, I know you and Mr. Perfect have also, since hearing the news, have given us a great deal of consideration. Why don't you call Barbara Bush to see if George can come out and play? He doesn't have a job.
Okay, if we could hit pause. So I just want to make a little snarky comment about that. Honestly, I sometimes want to put myself as if I was sitting right next to Curt, that would be kind of cool, Although when this took place, Unfortunately, I was only 6 years old, going on 7. But still, I'd like to put myself into the thing. Like, what would I say if I were there? And I would kind of turn to Bob and go, George Bush, the no new taxes guy? He's not a wrestler. How could he be a partner to Macho Man? Just kind of like working myself into the script kind of thing. And some of the comments I would come back with would be like, that doesn't make any sense. Come on now. So it would just kind of be funny to, kind of interact with, Bobby Heenan and be sitting there with Curt and kind of, entering yourself into that situation or into that conversation. I sometimes wonder if they had scripts that they actually would read. I know I've heard Jesse Ventura say, oh, well, they wanted to give me a script, but I was like, would Jesse Ventura really say this? Why can't I just, say whatever I want? That kind of thing. So I sort of wonder from time to time, back in 92, if they gave Curt a script or if it was just more like, react to this. When Bobby says this, you react to it as your character would react to it. So, I often wonder that sometimes. Okay, now, get ready to hit play. Alright, hit play now.
Yeah, how are you gonna put anything together with anybody in 24 hours? How are you gonna have any tag team work done?
And I love how Curt just kind of like stares at the camera. He's like, almost like gain that sympathy kind of thing. Like later on in the thing, you'll hear, oh, Bobby Heenan, you tried to keep him blah, blah, blah down or something. And then Curt just kind of looks at the camera like for sympathy or something.
Someone who I would think would compliment your style. He's gonna pick somebody he don't like to be his partner. Would you please let's just listen to the man. All right,
Like I say, sometimes you gotta take a chance. This is a gut check for this guy, because he doesn't know if he can beat me or I can beat him.
Does he know you? Does he know your opponents?
But you know my opponents?
Is he bigger than a bread box?
Well, that was really cute. Let me tell you something that's even cuter. He knows my opponents.
The other thing is, Curt keeps looking back at something. So I wonder if he's like seeing like someone offset. I don't know, maybe the Macho Man was back there? I don't know.
You're not making any sense to me, pal. All right, Randy Savage, yes,
I
ma'am.
make dollars and cents for my tag team partner if he wants to accept. Go ahead, Mr. McMahon. What do you want to
Just
hear?
whom have you selected?
All right, you ready for this? Yeah. Big gut check, yeah. Possibly this guy could be the perfect tag team partner for me to go against Razor Ramon and Ric Flair. A bunch of intelligent Confuciuses right on the table there.
You don't mean, who do you mean?
Read between the lines.
Oh, man. Do you mean that perfect tag team? Do you mean Randy Savage? Who do you mean? Spell it out. Come on.
Spell it out. It's Mr. Perfect. You
All right, get ready to hit pause. Hit pause now. So, okay, so this is the reveal. Savage says, I honestly, I'd be sitting there going, and you people call yourself intelligent? I mean, come on. Even a blind person could see this gonna happen, you know what I mean? As soon as Savage says perfect, you're like, oh, he's gonna pick Mr. Perfect. Come on. He gives them a hint, for crying out loud. And they're all sitting around there going, what? Wait, perfect? What? I mean, I know, like I said, that's the script or that's how they sort of wanted that to go. But still, the normal reaction is kind of like, oh, they're going to blow it off. Oh, Curt's going to blow it off. But then when you see Curt not blow it off, you know what I mean? Yeah, okay, so he was scripted to do that. But still, he doesn't blow it off. Bobby Heenan blows it off, but not Curt. And it's funny to kind of sit there and watch Curt kind of think, wait a minute, why can't I be his partner? The ultimate heel kind of thing would be, hey, I'll pretend to be a babyface. And I think maybe they were kind of going for that, because if you watch Survivor Series, he kind of, walks out on Savage. But I think, their intention was, I think he just wanted to, like, his character's kind of like, oh, well, I can get back in the ring. Of course I can. Why can't I? All right. Get ready to press play. Press play now.
Well, no, you do make sense, Savage. I'll tell you why you make sense. This man knows more about Ric Flair personally. He knows more about him in the ring. He knows everything there is about Ric Flair.
Perfect, you can't even talk right now. You can do the thing.
Well, he's guided him to the championship twice. Of course you'd want him.
Mr. Perfect, they've been holding you back. You were... Hey, listen, I admired your wrestling ability. Even though I don't like you.
I love how Curt looks at the camera. Like, dude, do you hear this?
Macho. Think about what you're saying, brother. Think about it.
Yeah, right now the script is, oh, he thinks it's a joke, he was scripted to think it was all a big joke. But Savage was serious, so, they want to talk him into it.
Just tell the whole zillions of people all around the world that you can't handle what I'm...
Well, nonetheless, Macho Man, I admire your choice. And you said, and he knows he's under contract. You'd have to take a chance, but... Hey, it makes sense to me that if anyone knew...
All right, get ready to press pause. Press pause now. So when Bobby says, he's under contract, that's where I would sit there and go, Bobby, you do know contracts can be broken, right? You do know this stuff can be reworded and stuff can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not broken, but like you can reword stuff and sort of, if you had given it to a lawyer, you could honestly get out of any kind of sly little thing in a contract. But yeah, I think a character like me would turn to Bobby Heenan and go, really, Bobby? Contracts can be broken. And first of all, why would you write that into a contract? That what does the contract say, he can't wrestle? Or, like, I would ask for clarification, What in that contract says that he can't go back into the ring? That kind of thing. But remember, let's do this from a character standpoint. So we're entering ourselves into this little ploy, this little script, this little scene, a skit, I think they call them. So we're entering ourselves in this little skit. So we would turn to Bobby Heenan and say, okay, so what does the contract entail? They can be broken. We could find loopholes in them. That should go on a blooper reel right there. I can't even speak. But, as a character standpoint, my first reaction would be, okay, contracts can be broken. Or they can get, loopholes to get out of. So, alright, get ready to press play. And press play now. But he was never really a manager. I love when they say that, well, he's just a manager. No, he was a wrestler. See, that's where Bobby, like, oh, strike one against you, now give me your other choice. But Curt doesn't say anything. Alright, get ready to press pause. Press pause. Now. Okay. So, I kind of want to do this in segments. So, that was the end of the first segment. So, you kind of get the sense of, Bobby Heenan's like, oh yeah, this is a big joke, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we get you. Now give me your second choice. But notice how, in that little skit, Curt didn't say anything. He's laughing about it. And, he thinks it's a joke. But deep down, if we're and if we pull this stuff out of a skit, so let's say this was reality, okay? If we pull ourselves out of the skit, he didn't say anything, okay? And yeah, he's laughing about it, but he didn't say like Bobby Heenan said, okay, give me your second choice, or give me your real choice, is what he says. Something of that nature. Whereas Curt just kind of laughs about it, but Curt didn't say, hey, give me, it's not going to be me, give me another choice. Okay. Cause in my feeling, Curt's character, Mr. Perfect, he wants to get back into the ring. That's why I say, he's a manager. No, he wasn't a manager. He was a wrestler. It's almost like everyone in this skit forgot that he was a wrestler. He came in, yes, as himself in 88, in September, I believe. You can go on Peacock and see, September, around, I want to say the 20th, maybe in 88. Yes, Curt comes in as himself, and the first match I saw him in was with SD Jones, the wrestler. So, you can look that up on Peacock. They have it on, funny enough, it's on Primetime Wrestling. So when Curt started doing the vignettes, the first one was the pool table, and then I think they went to bowling and stuff. So you see that, and he comes in as himself, and they all call him Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig. Okay. But the first time he comes in, they call him Curt Hennig. And I think, like I said, that's because he didn't have a gimmick yet. So he comes in as himself, and eventually they will just call him Mr. Perfect. They won't call him Curt Hennig, which is so funny because, in most of 88 and 89, they call him Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig. Now, in 1990 and 91, before the wrestling, after the match with Brett, so before he goes on semi-retirement, okay? As we all know, Curt did not officially retire. So he just took an injury vacation or an injury timeout for, his back. Okay. So, but before he did that, they would always call him Mr. Perfect. They dropped the Curt Hennig part. Okay. So, everyone was just calling him Mr. Perfect. And I think it's kind of funny because in the end of this skit, Ric Flair brings that back. Oh, Hennig, and that's your real name, Hennig. It's like, no, that's Mr. Perfect to you. We're not gonna bring real names into this, Flair. So I just think that would be my reaction to it. Okay. So like if he said, Hennig, that's your real name, Hennig, I'd be like, it's Mr. Perfect to you. So, and as everyone knows from previous episodes, I was not a big Ric Flair fan. Nor was I a big Bobby Heenan fan, nor was I a big, Scott Hall fan as well. But, I have learned that Scott Hall and Curt were good friends. According to Brett's book, Ric Flair and Curt were not friends. I mean, I'm guessing they were maybe friends, maybe acquaintances, but Brett made reference to, Curt pissing on Flair's bed. Maybe, I don't see my friend doing that on purpose, but they were all invited to Ric Flair's suite and Ric Flair wasn't even there. So I'm not really sure how Curt felt about Ric Flair. I know Brett really didn't like Ric Flair either, so it was kind of like, he was an acquired taste, I guess. So I'm not really sure, today I wish I could ask Curt, hey, how did you feel about Ric Flair? Professionally, he probably thought he was a great wrestler, whatever. But I don't know about his friendship or not with Ric Flair. Okay. Not as much as I know he was friends with, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I know, Hillbilly Jim really liked Curt. Everybody loved Curt. Let's just face that. Okay, let's face facts. Even if Ric Flair and Curt were not really friends, Curt, everyone loved him. So Flair probably respected Curt because, he was from Minneapolis and his father, he probably respected his father. And there's so much, people really respected Curt, and that was it's so wonderful to hear. I'm sure Curt would love to hear that so many people loved and adored him and just respected him because of what he represented. So, being a heel, that doesn't really matter. And, remember, from 88 on, even, I don't know officially when they turned him heel, because I know in the AWA and in Portland, Curt was a babyface. So, and I honestly think his babyface run here, which is going to start soon, as soon as they talk him into doing this, this babyface run, I think could match the heel turn in NWO, to the NWO, excuse me. And I would also like to do a watch along with that. So like we would do Fall Brawl kind of thing, where he is standing out there, and then all of a sudden he opens the cage door, and he's now NWO, because he tosses the handcuffs to Nash and Conan, I believe. So, and then we're gonna watch the famous where we're gonna watch along to when he slams the cage door on Ric Flair's head. But my closing thoughts on the first part of this is, I mean, if you put yourself in this skit and you make yourself a part of it, the snarky comments you could come up with, I'm sure, to Bobby Heenan, if you played the babyface, or even if you were playing like Curt's advocate, or you were speaking on behalf of the good babyface that Curt is going to become. He becomes the babyface where he can sell it. But also, I think if you watch the majority of 92 and 93, like the rest of 92, and then, of course, when he get into 93, some of his feuds, like with Scott Hall, with Ric Flair, with Scott Hall, he later on in, like, February, and then Lex Luger. As you see the progression, so well done. His babyface turn is, I think, one of the greatest turns. So that would be my closing argument for this segment, is that he doesn't really say anything. So, and the snarky comments, of course, I'm going to make them because I've already kind of put myself into this, where I can see myself in this skit. So in a roundabout way, the snarky comments would be to Razor Ramon, or would be to Ric Flair, because I would be playing the babyface role. But you can make snappy comments or snarky comments to, Bobby Heenan, right? So then you would look at the baby faces on the other side, who are Hillbilly Jim and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and kind of agree with them, but also kind of get, go back to them and look at them and say, look, he's not just a manager. Did everyone around this table forget that he was a wrestler from 88 to before he hurt his back and he couldn't wrestle? Let's remember, everyone, he was a wrestler. Just because you take a guy out of wrestling for, I think Curt was out for like a year and a half, maybe a little longer than that. Just because you take him out of wrestling doesn't mean he forgot how to do it, and that'll come in a little later in, like, some of the snarky comments I would say to Bobby Heenan. So it's going to come a little later, but to reiterate, you could actually put yourself into this kind of scene, and it does kind of pump you up when Curt, decides to turn. So, so this is the end of the first segment. We'll come back for the next segment, and I will tell you to press play. Okay, this is the second segment, and I'm going to break these down into segments, like when they come back from commercial, whatever, or when they go to a match, because That's kind of how it's broken down in on YouTube. It's kind of broken down into segments and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you to press play now.
Continues his winning ways here in the WWF, and during these last several matches and breaks, we've had a pretty interesting discussion about Macho Man's proposal. It seems to me that he might be making out of the frying pan into the fire. A little bit of six. I don't know. Why don't you make it a six-man tag, and I'll team up with Perfect, and he can have two managers as his partner. Well, he does have the right idea.
All right, get ready to press pause. Press pause now. Okay, so again, we're going to pretend like we're in this skit. So if I were sitting next to Curt, I would look at Bobby and go, really? He's a wrestler. Again, everyone's acting as if you've forgotten what Curt came in as in '88, and before he hurt his back, what he was until he hurt his back. Now, because he's with Ric Flair, everyone at this table seems to forget that he was a wrestler. And he was a darn good one. So, again, if we're going to make comments, and you can come up with your own, but the snarky comments I would come up with are, really, Bobby? You know he's a wrestler. I mean, he's not just a manager. I think one of the things I said is, wrestlers wrestle in a wrestling ring. That's what they do. Try saying that 5 times fast, right? Wrestlers wrestle in a wrestling ring. And that would, be my little snarky comment to Bobby Heenan and to everyone. Hey, you guys forgot. He is a wrestler. Just because you take him on injury leave does not mean that he forgot all the moves and he doesn't know how to wrestle anymore. So that would be... And I think the snarkiness would kind of add to the comedy. Maybe in some people's eyes, maybe not in everybody's. But, I mean, if we're going for comic relief here, let's all pretend we were sitting at the end of that table. Okay, we're sitting on Curt's side, let's say. Or you could pretend that you're sitting next to Hillbilly Jim. Okay? But anyway, you're around the table, you're sitting at the table. And if you're the comic relief, it'd be like, really? Did everyone, seriously forget? Are everyone that stupid that he came in here and he was a wrestler just because he takes a year off? He forgot the moves? I'm sorry. Did I miss something? It's like when you're out with a sports injury, just because you're out with a sports injury doesn't mean that you forgot how to play that sport. You're sitting on the bench. Yes. You're warming the bench, yes, but you know how to play, right? It's like being the star player and you're sitting on the bench because you're hurt and the coach looks at you and goes, you remember how to do this? And you kind of look at him and go, no, I'm stupid. Really? Yes, I remember how to play this sport. So, I mean, that would be my snarky comeback or snappy comeback, whatever you want to insert there. So, all right, get ready to press play now.
Hello. Are you crazy?
What I would say to him, what I would say to Curt. Hang on. Because Bobby seems to think it's Ric Flair on the phone. Now, I don't think that phone was attached to anything. I think it was just, it would pretend to ring like they, like they would pretend to, ring banana phone kind of thing. Okay, so while Sean Mooney is talking, I will say, when Curt goes, are you crazy? What I would say to Curt in the skit, I would be like, you don't ask people that, darling. Sorry, hon, but you don't ask people that because people could really be crazy. And that would be my snarky comeback to Curt, Hey, don't say that, because they actually could be crazy. But the fact that Bobby thinks it's Ric Flair, is hilarious. But like I said, I don't think that phone's attached to anything, so I think it's just like, oh, they're pretending to talk to people on the phone. And maybe they were talking to Savage, but it was more like he's talking to Savage, and he just didn't want Bobby to know that he was talking to Savage, and Savage was trying to talk him into it, that kind of thing. So they have it where literally they were talking on this phone, and they have you thinking that he's really, talking to someone. So here we're just about to come back, where Curt's still pretending to talk on the phone to someone. We don't know who, because he won't tell Bobby. That should be a dead giveaway right there when he says, I'll definitely think about it. He hangs up the phone.
Is this making a little sense to you guys or not? Starting to fall together a little bit because nobody knows Flair or Ramon is probably as well as perfect.
Only downside is that he ain't been in the ring in a while, and I'm worried about that with the Macho Man.
Well, wait a minute, though. It seems to me that I know that you probably aren't giving us any serious consideration, but you might want to think about the fact, Miss Perfect, that from the way I see it...
Now, Curt does this thing where he just looks at the camera, like, almost like, he gives us this look like, really?
You've got Razor Ramon, you've got Ric Flair, two of the great...
Yeah, here. He's gonna look at the camera here real soon.
Bobby would not want...
And what's funny is the camera will focus on him as he looks at the camera, so then the camera will pan into just a shot of Curt. That to me was great. It's a great capture, it's like the reaction to Curt's face when he reacts to the skit,
Wouldn't it make some sense that you would do that? You would... Do what? Keep you out of action? You're a great broadcaster. You're on prime time with me. Yeah. Then you also do Superstars with McMahon. And I'm still the greatest wrestler. Well, of course you're the greatest wrestler. You're perfect.
The greatest wrestler to ever live is what I would say as I'm sitting there. No, he's not a manager.
You wouldn't even know that. There is no consultant for you if you dumb heck. But this man, he's the one that guided Ric Flair to the...
See, they keep drifting away from the fact that he was a wrestler from 88 to 91.
And you're saying that this is the second time you said he's the man who guided Ric Flair. Right. Bobby Heenan, that is bull compared to what you normally say. You take the credit. You publicly have stated before that it was you who guided Ric Flair, and Perfect had nothing to do with it. No, you said that. You said that.
No, see, I was the one that said I selected you. I mentioned your name when I was managing you.
All right, get ready to press pause. Press pause now. Okay, so let's go back. So the snarky comments would keep coming, okay? Again, I would look around the table and say, guys, yeah, he's a manager now, but he wasn't a manager from 88 to 91. And everyone seems to forget that he is the greatest wrestler to ever live, okay? My snarky comments would be, you guys have forgotten, you can take the guy out of wrestling, but you can't take wrestling out of the guy, okay? And let's remember, Curt was second generation, so it's not like you take him out of the ring and all of a sudden he forgot all the moves. You know what I'm saying? So again, it would reiterate and re-amp up the fact that they're treating him as if he's just a manager and has always been a manager. No, guys. He was a wrestler. He made it on his own. He came from the AWA. He wasn't wrestling with his dad anymore. And really, I guess he had stopped wrestling with his dad in like 85 when he was with Scott Hall and stuff. So like from 85, 86, 87, he was more on his own, or he was with, like a tag team kind of thing, but it wasn't with his dad. So Curt was very established as Curt Hennig, the I'm better than you kind of persona, and that's why Vince was like, okay, let's do the Mr. Perfect thing, because, you're confident in yourself, you're confident in your own skin, and you're good at all these sports, so let's just do this, and you can be as arrogant as you want to take this character. So, the thing is, I would look at him and say, like when Curt says, you wouldn't do that. I would be sitting there going, oh yeah, he did, and he laughed about it. I would be egging them on, egging Curt on, saying, oh, he gloated about, taking Ric Flair to the top. He had nothing to say about you. It would be something snarky like that. Again, I'm trying to build up this scene and be the comic relief of, oh yeah, he said something and he gloated about it, and he left you out of it. That kind of comment of, oh, he said it and he gloated about it. That kind of thing. So, I think that's exactly how I would put it. So, again, he's gonna try to talk and say, you were a good wrestler. But now Ric Flair is an active wrestler. And we're gonna comment on that. So, alright, let's go ahead and press play now.
Here's the guy you gotta have, Mr. Perfect. Here's the guy who can compete with you, Ric Flair. Therefore,
see, that, I would agree with that. I would say, exactly, Vince. That's exactly what I think. Take him out of commission so that Ric Flair can have the spotlight. Alright, press pause now. Okay, so this is the end of the second segment. Okay, so my comments about this, so we're starting to get a glimpse of Curt starting to maybe think about it. Okay, so the phone call had a lot to do with this, and then, in my slide remarks would be, if I was sitting there, I'm sitting there, I'm watching Curt on the phone, and then Curt puts the phone down, and Bobby says, well, I'll call him now, I want to call him back, blah, 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 and Curt goes, no. I would sit there and go, hey, Bobby, why do you have to know everything about what Curt does? I mean, Mr. Perfect, of course. Why do you have to know everything about what Mr. Perfect does? Oh, he's got a secret, and you don't have to know about it, so ha. Like that I've got a secret kind of thing, we've got a secret and you don't, ha 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 ha. So again, if you're going to be the comic relief, you're going to put yourself into it, you can make your own comments, but I mean, those would be my snarky comments, like, haha, we have a secret and you don't know what it is. But any idiot could hear that and say, oh, he was talking to Savage. He had to be talking to Savage. The whole comment of, are you crazy? I love it when Curt says that. But, I mean, again, you never ask anybody that because they honestly could be. So, what I would say to Curt is, ixnay on the crazy say. So, we're just having fun with this. And, so this segment was, Curt starting to think a little more about this. Hey, maybe I can get back into the ring. Maybe I don't have to be a manager anymore. Again, with the comments of, oh, well, he's just a manager. He wasn't a manager the whole time. And I think from how Bobby is talking, from how the babyfaces are talking, it's kind of like everyone wanted to keep the propaganda of the situation of, oh, he's just a manager now. So let's just keep it in the now. Let's forget about the past, and he was a great wrestler, and he's the greatest wrestler to ever live, yada, yada, yada. All the great matches that he had. The match with Brett was great. The match, he did face the Warrior. I've seen matches with him and Carrie. I've seen matches with him and, Piper. I've seen, him and, Jake. I did see one with him and Jake in it. And that had to be like 1990 or 91 before he hurt his back. But I want to say that I saw one match with Jake the Snake. So again, we're in this reality of this skit, if we want to talk about the skit. So if we want to put ourselves into this skit and live it as reality, they are trying to keep him in the here and now and not realizing that he's trying to get them to realize that he is a wrestler. He is a wrestler. He's been wrestling since, he was in middle school, okay? His father sent in interviews from 6th grade. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'd like to think it is, because Larry is, his father, he would know. But anyway, we're keeping the reality. Okay, we're keeping the kayfabe, as they say. So if we're keeping with kayfabe, Curt says, hey, you guys realize I was a wrestler, right? And they're going, oh, no, you're a manager. Blah, blah, blah. You are not a wrestler. You are not. It's like the Jedi mind trick. You are not a wrestler. Expecting him to go, I wasn't a wrestler. That kind of thing. I think that's so cool. Though I don't want to see it in a skit on wrestling or anything. But that would be my comment. Is, the reality of the skit, if we're going to keep with kayfabe, is that they're trying to do a Jedi mind trick on Curt, and it's not working. Alright, so we're going to go to segment 3, so I'll meet you on the flip side. Okay, welcome back to segment 3, and press play now.
Welcome back to more WWF Primetime. Vince McMahon here along with Hacksaw Jim, Duggan, Hillbilly Jim, Mr. Perfect, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and we were talking, this is seeming to, as outlandish as the original proposal from the Macho Man seemed.
Okay, so Curt, they just had a camera capture of Curt staring at, and he's going to look at the camera again. So the camera pans in right onto Curt's face as he reacts to the skit. Keeping kayfabe, right? Well, this is the greatest kayfabe you could keep, is getting the sympathy from the crowd. And just the puppy dog look that Curt gives tells you, he's like, do you guys really believe this? Do you guys hear what they're saying? They're acting as if I was never a wrestler, that I'm a manager, and I have always been one. So, yeah, you just literally called him not a good wrestler. Just pick someone better than Perfect. No, there's nobody better than Perfect. Perfect is perfect. Oh boy, here we go with the fake accent and the cheesy bling and stuff. I'm sorry, but if we could press pause now. You have to understand something. I did not like this whole Razor Ramon thing because, again, the accent was really, really cheesy. Not what I would have picked for him, but for some reason, Vince McMahon wanted a, Scarface kind of character. Not that Scott Hall couldn't pull it off or whatever, but sometimes the accent was a little too cheesy. The machismo, I actually had to look that up. It was testosterone. He's oozing testosterone. I had to look up machismo, so. But you could hear Curt in his babyface run always say, you're oozing something, and what you're oozing stinks. But no offense to, and I'm not trying to, put down Scott Hall. I love Scott Hall's character. I wasn't much for Scott Hall. Like, I didn't really like him. He wasn't really my favorite or anything. It's just, he was there and he was Curt's friend. You should see him in the AWA. He has this, fro going on and a mustache. And he's honestly, he looked like to be honest, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can be here, he looked, honestly, like some kind of cowboy reject. And I'm trying to be as nice as possible to Scott Hall because, I do respect him as a wrestler and as a person. But, in the AWA, he didn't look like Scott Hall, okay? The hair was all froed out and it was all curly and he had this handlebar mustache and yeah, he towered over the rest of the wrestlers. But you could definitely tell he was like some kind of, I don't know, Magnum PI reject. Like I said, I'm trying to be as nice as possible because, Scott Hall just passed away here and, that was very sad to hear. Trust me. The only thing I could come back with was, well, maybe Curt will, wherever Curt is, maybe he'll take him under his wing and teach him how to live wherever they go. So that was a little comforting to hear, I'm sure, that, friends have reunited. Anyway, back to the skit. So we're going to get to the cheesiness and the, okay, McMahon, the accent. I can't do accents, so forgive me if I totally butchered that. But the whole, machismo and chico, and it's like, okay, cheesy, enough. It gets a little too much after a while. So I did not like this character, Razor Ramon, because, again, cheesy, the bling is all cheesy, he doesn't look like what I remember from the AWA. He looks nothing like he does in WCW and in WWF when he was in the AWA. Complete transition out of whatever, cowboy Magnum PI thing he was trying to accomplish there. Tom Selleck kind of reject lookalike, you know what I'm saying? Nothing like that, okay? And a lot of people said that when Rick Rude was younger, that he looked like Tom Selleck. I was like, I don't know, the handlebar mustache maybe, but you could tell the difference between Rick Rude and Tom Selleck, okay? So anyway, let's press play now, and we're going to listen to, hang on. Don't press it yet. We're going to listen to Razor Ramon and Ric Flair. So I'm going to actually kind of pause in between, play, pause, because again, there's a lot of stuff that you could, if you were putting yourself into this skit, you could come back with snarky comments. So, okay, press play now.
Man, we heard what Savage said. Hey, perfect. Forget about him, man.
So cheesy.
You work for us, man. You had a great reputation, man. I understand he used to be somebody, huh, Rick? But now, you work for us, man. We pay you good. You do what we tell you.
Okay, press pause now. So, okay. Let's go over these comments. Because I'm sitting here with my mouth up and going, oh my god, I can't believe he just said that. But again, it's what his character would say. Okay, so if we're putting ourselves into this skit, like we have been, we're gonna keep with kayfabe here. My snarky comment to him would be like, excuse me? You act like this dude's career is over. It's not over. His career's not over. He still has things to do. Can everyone stop saying he used to be something? Yeah, he's calling him a has-been, basically. And just the look on Curt's face, no, he really didn't just say that. Did he just say that? Did he literally just say that? I mean, the reaction that Curt has is excellent. It's excellent timing, and it's an excellent reaction to, he just called me has-been. What the heck? And now Flair's going to delve into it too. Oh, you work for us now. Oh, you're part of our group, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, so he's contracted to you. That doesn't mean you own him. Okay? Because again, contracts can be broken. They can, there's all kinds of loopholes that Curt could get out of. But everyone knows that's not really true. That he doesn't really work for Ric Flair. Okay? And that's why they're going to talk him into becoming a wrestler again. So, alright, press play now.
Go at no length to create an entertainment environment. Hillbilly Jim Duggan McMahon, the reason you guys are behind the table is because you find things like this humorous. The greatest unit in wrestling today is Perfect and Flair. I do the wrestling, he does the consulting.
Okay, press pause now. Okay, so a couple things here. Again, we're putting ourselves into the skit. My thing would be, okay, when Flair says, you guys find this humorous. What I would say, I would pipe up and say, no, actually, Flair, I find this kind of sad that you would take the greatest wrestler to ever live and put him behind a desk. Kind of like what they do with old cops. You spent your life out and, saving the world and whatever as a cop, and now they put you behind a desk. You know, you see it in all those movies, you know, all those action movies, like, you know, Die Hard. Oh, well, this is what they call a desk job. So I would look at Flair and say, no, I think it's sad that you took the greatest wrestler to ever live and put him in a desk job. And, you know, he says, well, the greatest unit is us personified is I'm the wrestler and you are my subordinate. No, Flair. He was a wrestler. He could whoop you in 2 seconds. He is a wrestler. So let's get that straight. You may be an active wrestler, but he is a wrestler who's on injured reserve. Okay? He may be warming the bench, but he is in no way your subordinate or your employee. That thing. You in no way are his boss, is I think how I would frame that. Okay? Again, the snarky comments, I'm there for the relief. I would try to spin it as in a fun way, you know, like, oh, you talk like you own everybody and you own everything. Again, you're talking to one of the greatest wrestlers to ever live, or the greatest wrestler to ever live. You didn't make him. You are not his boss. He is his own boss. He can determine when he wants out of this contract and that kind of thing. So again, keeping with kayfabe, we're just trying to, you know, throw things out there. You know, and Ric Flair is doing his kayfabe thing where I own you, you do what I say. That kind of thing. All right, press play now.
Hi, Bobby. You're right, Rick, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you a minute ago when you called, but I want to talk to you after the program. I got something very important to tell you.
That wasn't me that called.
Oh, Curt's got a secret.
Somebody's going to make a call, and I don't think he's bluffing. I don't think he's making this up. And gentlemen, who was on the phone? I think you should take
That ain't none of your business.
I think Mr. Perfect should take very seriously this consideration. I mean, Mr. Flair, it has been suggested that
There we do a close-up shot of Curt again.
either you have been living in his shadow or he's been living in your shadow. And I don't know how you feel about that, but it has been said
Why
before.
don't you keep trying to stir it up? We walked down that aisle together. Me in front, him behind me. That's the way the unit goes. That's the way
Close
we
up of
go
Curt
again.
again.
I'm the wrestler. No question. Ask him. Who's the greatest wrestler alive today, Perfect?
Okay, hit pause now. Who's the greatest wrestler today, Perfect? Mr. Perfect! Gee, that was so hard. Way to go, Rick. You just totally talked him into going with Savage. Who's the greatest wrestler today, Perfect? Mr. Perfect. Wow. Can we go to commercial now? That wasn't a hard answer, but again, we're keeping with kayfabe. We're putting ourselves into the skit. Okay, so when they start talking about, that's the way the unit goes. It's me in front and him behind me. Well, as everyone knows, and as everyone has heard, behind every great man, there's a woman. Okay, Curt's not a woman. One. Okay, so if we're keeping with kayfabe, my thing would be is, okay, but let's hang on a second, Ric Flair. Curt's not a woman. Behind every great man, there's a woman. Curt's not a woman. Curt is a wrestler with his own mind. He is the greatest wrestler to ever live. He could whoop you in 2 seconds. Because he's Mr. Perfect. And he is perfect. Again, just because you took him out of wrestling on injured reserve does not mean he forgot all the moves. Okay, so I think we're stopped on this close-up of Curt, where he's just kind of reacting. I don't know what he's thinking. He might be thinking of what he's going to say next, to quantify the script and keep kayfabe. Okay, right? So we're on this close-up of Curt, and we're, you know, if I were beside him, I'd be like, are you listening to this guy? He thinks he's better than you. You're Mr. Perfect. You can whoop anybody. Everybody. You've whooped everybody. You've beaten every wrestler you've ever come across. Anyone who's ever bothered you. Okay. Let's not forget some of these vignettes that he used to do. The ping pong, the darts, and yes, the bowling and the basketball, the horseshoes, let's remember that all these vignettes were done to show how good of an athlete he was and how perfect he was. So, again, it's kind of like Flair's, like, emasculating him and saying, like, oh, you're not perfect. You are who I say you are. And Perfect's face is like, well, Curt's face is kind of like, wow, did he really just say that? I mean, the reactions that Curt is giving, only because I think it's kind of hilarious how the camera pans in when Curt looks at the camera. Because you know he's looking to a camera. He's not looking at Ric Flair, unless, like, Ric Flair's off to the side or something. But, again, I'm not sure how they would do that. They say, oh, well, they're on such and such a channel, blah, 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 because of, you know, JDY or something like that. But, so the reaction that Curt is giving is excellent, but I would have loved to have seen him go, really, Flair? Really? That's what you think? If that's what you think, then you have me all wrong. But I'm not sure if they wanted Curt to just kind of listen and sort of react, or if they wanted him to just follow a script. Again, this all could be scripted out. I don't know. I'd like to think that maybe they kind of said, we'll just kind of react to what's going on. Now, maybe Curt is, when he reacts to something, or maybe he thought maybe when his character reacts to something, that he internalizes everything. But, honestly, if it was me, I'd be sitting there going, you must be thinking I'm stupid. I am the greatest wrestler to ever live. And you're sitting here acting like I'm your lackey. Like, when you say jump, I'm supposed to say how high. No. I came into this in 88 as a wrestler. And I'm going to leave WWF as a wrestler. You know, that kind of thing. So, being the snarky person that I am, it would be like, did you guys forget that you're talking to the greatest wrestler to ever live? You are talking to Mr. Perfect. He is perfect. That's why he named himself that. Well, Vince and Pat Patterson. But, I mean, this is why he was named Mr. Perfect. Because he was perfect. He could do everything. He could wrestle. And that's why he's the greatest wrestler to ever live. And it's just like, they're just like emasculating him. You know, they're talking down to him and insinuating, oh, well, you work for me now, so you have to listen to what I have to say. No. Alright, press play now.
Get it on the table. Savage, if you're listening, let's get this over with. We gotta prepare for Survivor Series. We don't need any more from Savage. He's run out of time, and he's run out of hopes. So Rick Flair, hold on. This is Hillbilly Jim here. Are you saying, if I'm not mistaken, that Mr. Perfect is just the manager? That's all he can do? I'm saying that he works for me.
He's a great manager, man. He's a great manager. He's with us, man. He's one of the bad guys.
Well, let's
He's
hear what
with
Perfect
us.
has to say.
Perfect, say something. You ain't saying nothing. What do you got to say about this? Are you just a manager? Are you not a great wrestler anymore?
What's wrong with you, Hillbilly?
Well, I'm asking you a question. We want to know.
That's a good question. Is Ric Flair, in your estimation, a better wrestler than you? Just answer the question. Yes.
Hell no.
All right, okay, fine. Mr. Flair, you heard that?
Alright, hit pause now. So, they're gonna talk over each other here, but, again, my reaction would have been, hell no! He's the greatest wrestler to ever live. Ric Flair doesn't hold a candle to Curt Hennig, and he couldn't. And if you want to take yourself out, it would be because Curt was second generation. Ric Flair was not. Ric Flair didn't grow up around the business, okay? He entered the business as a wrestler, but he wasn't second generation. So, my snarky comment to that would be, why is everyone talking like Curt owes you something? Curt doesn't owe anybody anything. well, I would say Mr. Perfect, not Curt, but if we're keeping with kayfabe, Mr. Perfect doesn't owe anything. And again, you want to talk about something else. You don't want to deal with the reality of the fact that Curt, Mr. Perfect, was a wrestler and is a wrestler. Just because you took him out of wrestling and put him on injured reserve for a year and a half does not mean he forgot all the moves. So my thing to Flair would be, hey, watch what you're saying. You're acting like you have to say jump and Curt has to say how high. So that would be my reaction. And it's just like, oh, well, let's stop talking about this and let's move to something else. Again, with all the propaganda of, I own you, so now you owe me something. Mr. Perfect doesn't owe you anything. Okay? Mr. Perfect made this on, and you hear Razor Ramon go, he was a great wrestler. He was a great wrestler. So you're saying he's not a wrestler anymore. You want him to somehow admit that somehow he's a washed up wrestler. When he could go into that wrestling ring tomorrow and whip everybody. So, alright, we're gonna keep going here. I love this part because, and Bobby Heenan's like, let's just stop this right now and go to something else. Let's talk about something else. Yeah, because you know that Curt's starting to listen to reason, or Mr. Perfect is starting to listen to reason, and hear that he's being screwed over. He's being screwed over. I don't think this is what he had in mind. And the character, Mr. Perfect, knew he could go back to wrestling at any time. He just had to be on injured reserve for a little bit. But he wasn't going to fully go to a manager. Because in his mind, he could still wrestle. And I think that's what some of these guys will take for granted sometimes. Alright, press play now.
See what you're trying to do. I know what Savage is trying to do. He's gonna, whoever his partner is gonna be, he wants us all to be at each other's throats. It's not gonna work. I handle the money. You go down the aisle behind him. Flair and Ramon, you get in the ring and do a number on him.
Behind, always in the shadow, always following in the footsteps. Come on, where you gonna walk in front? What's the big deal?
Damn.
Here's where... Yeah, it's not important who walks in front and who walks behind. Yeah, it is, because, again, the old saying is, behind every great man, there's a woman. Curt's not a woman.
Mr. Perfect, in your estimation, did Razor Ramon?
No way.
Yes or no?
No way. Well, he's got pride in himself. Nothing wrong with that. The greatest wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation, period.
He's the greatest wrestler to ever live.
With that in mind, yes,
I understand you used to be somebody, man. You got a great rep, man.
So he's a has-been now because he's been on injured reserve for a year.
You a manager, man.
What do you mean used to be? What do you mean all
You
let's
for us, man.
let's go to something.
He said he was a has-been.
Now involving a relative newcomer to WWF, Lance Cassidy. We will continue to follow the stories.
Alright, hit pause now. Okay, so that was the end of segment 3. So, my comments would be, you hear Scott Hall say, you used to be so good. And I would, again, we're going to put ourselves in the skit. Oh, we used to be somebody. So are you saying that he can't wrestle anymore? Are you calling him a bad wrestler? Are you saying he can't remember and he's not a good wrestler? See, in Perfect's mind, I can go back to wrestling whenever I want. And in Razor Ramon's mind, oh, you used to be a great wrestler, and I can learn from you, but now you work for us, so you have to say you have to do what we want you to. No. He may have joined your team, but he, again, is a wrestler who can go back to wrestling anytime he wanted to. I kind of wish they would have gone into his back injury, but they kind of mull that over, and you don't really hear about Curt's back injury until I don't remember if it was at Survivor Series where he kind of Bobby talks about it, But I know it's one of the shows that he hasn't wrestled for over a year. Yeah, I guess it was Survivor Series. Yes, but again, just because he didn't wrestle for over a year doesn't mean he forgot all the moves. So, and like I said, I kind of wish they hadn't glossed that over. I don't care if they say, oh, well, your back is hurt. You can't go back to wrestling. You know, you hurt your back, blah, 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 blah. And he would go, my back is fine. Thank you for asking. And then they could kind of tell his character to react to that. You know, hey, my back is fine. I can go back into the wrestling ring anytime I want to. I just chose to stay out this long because, and da-da-da-da-da, you know, go on from there. But, you know, again, I don't know if this was all scripted and they left that out intentionally. Maybe Curt didn't want to talk about his back, you know, the back injury. But in a sense, it was like always about the fact that he was a manager and a commentator. Not the fact that he was on injured reserve and could go back to wrestling anytime he wanted to, anytime his back was feeling better. So again, you know, in this segment, you hear, oh, well, what does it matter where you, how you walk in front or back? Again, the old saying of, behind every great man, there's a woman. Curt's not a woman. Okay. So that would be my snarky comment or comeback. It would be, he's not a woman, guys. Behind every great man, there's a woman. Curt's not a woman. Or Mr. Perfect's not a woman. Mr. Perfect is his own person. He walks in the shadow with nobody. He walks in his own shadow. The only thing I would add is maybe he, I guess someone could, as like a snarky comment, say, well, he walks in his father's shadow. No. Because honestly, I think Curt was a lot more famous than his father. Everyone knew Larry Hennig, but I would say that and like I said, that would just be something that a character would throw out. You know, if you're keeping kayfabe here. So if you're keeping kayfabe, someone could yell out, well, you walk in your father's shadow. No. Because for many, many years, Curt established himself as Mr. Perfect without any help from Larry Hennig. So, that was a good segment. We're starting to get into where they kind of talk him into it, because they keep leaving out the fact that he is a wrestler who could go back to wrestling anytime he felt like it. And that he could, wrestle as if he never left. You know, I will say that maybe it seemed at Survivor Series that he seemed a little rusty, but as the match went on, I really think Curt poured it on to the point where he was back, baby, and you knew it. So this was a good segment. And as the segments go on, it's going to get snarkier and snarkier. My comments, but definitely my comments would be, excuse me, he's his own person. He can go back to wrestling whenever he feels better. This isn't, he isn't out for good. Okay. And Flair's going to say something about, you know, life after wrestling. Again, he didn't retire from wrestling. He isn't retired. He is just on injured reserve. Okay. So we're going to end segment 3 and go on to 4. So I will catch you on the flip side. All right, this is segment 4. We're going to press play now.
Welcome back to more WWF Prime Time. Continuing our discussion here in the proposal by the Macho Man Randy Savage. And you know, when you think about it, what an unbelievable opportunity this will be for someone. Because, I mean, you're talking about a tremendous payday here. And an opportunity right back, right on top, right in the limelight. And I've got to think, Mr. Perfect, that I've got to think you're seriously considering this because, I mean, monetarily, you are a professional, are you not?
I'm definitely a professional.
You consider yourself to be the greatest wrestler of all time, I would suggest.
Greatest wrestler to ever live.
Surely there isn't.
No, there isn't.
Well, Ric Flair just said he was the greatest wrestler of all
Well,
time.
he's got pride in himself. He's got pride in himself. So what? Ric Flair's an active wrestler.
And Curt should be an active wrestler.
Would you blame anyone for seizing
Mr. Perfect should be an active wrestler.
hypothetically?
It's just he's on injured reserve.
Payday, right? And after all, we are professionals, right?
All right, let's press pause now. So again, if we go back to the kayfabe part of it, it would be, hey, you guys, do they get rid of baseball players when they're on injured reserved? No, they're still on the team. They just are on injured reserved. Now, if they weren't so glossing over the fact that Curt was out of the ring because of his back, again, I don't know if that was intentional, if Curt didn't want him to talk about his back or what, but I'm keeping with kayfabe here. It would be like that comment of, hey, baseball players go on injured reserved. They're still part of the team, right? You don't see them managing the team after they go on injured reserved. Same with football players. Football players are still on the team. You don't see them becoming managers of other teams, do you? Or becoming managers of the same team. No. He's on injured reserved. He will be back when he's ready. That kind of thing. And again, you can put in your own comments as you see fit. But, I mean, I've seen this so many times. Like, I literally know exactly what comment to put in at what time. And that would be my snarky comment. Of course, he's a professional. He's a professional wrestler. He knows it all. He knows how to do this. Just because he's been out on injured reserve doesn't mean he forgot all the moves. So there you go. All right, press play now.
Perfect. If he chose to come into the ring and team up with the Macho Man Randy Savage for this one, you can't blame
There's
me. for it.
something you don't know about. That's called loyalty. In the heart, they could offer you $20 million a day. He's not going no place.
He doesn't owe you anything.
You're not giving this man the respect that's due him. You're saying he's just a manager. Razor Ramon said he was a hell.
He doesn't owe you anything.
Shadow of Ric Flair walking in the
You think he owes you something. See, that's the problem. They think he owes them something. You work for us, so you owe us something. No, that's not how this works.
First of all, you're right. Okay, you're right. Let's set that. I didn't say you did. Don't you see what they're doing to us? The only reason we work is because we all have our jobs. Flair gets in the ring and does his. You do all the consulting. I handle the money. We all have to take orders.
No, Bobby, this is not a military school. This is not the military. We don't take orders. It's the WWF. See, there's my snarky comments. And I can do it because, again, I've seen this so many times. I know where to put the comments. But, again, let's press pause now. So, again, the snarky comments are that I said he doesn't owe you anything. He was, Bobby Heenan was saying how they could give him $5 million a day. He wouldn't go anywhere. Yeah, he would, because he doesn't owe you anything. He's a wrestler. He is not your lackey. He's not your subordinate. Okay? Yeah, he may have a pretend contract with you. Again, we're keeping with kayfabe, so we would say, yeah, he may have a contract that you don't, you say you own him. But again, there are ways out of that contract, and contracts can be broken. In fact, I probably, in kayfabe, would probably give me the contract. I'll rip it up right now. Again, I know what to say because, again, I've seen this a lot. So, again, with the snarky comment of, well, we all have to take orders. No, we're not in the military. This is not a military base. This is not like Vince McMahon is the general and Bobby Heenan is the commander. Okay? So, when he says that, I lost it. I'm like, are we on a military base? What are we doing? What? What are you talking about? You make no sense. You're saying that Ric Flair is the commander and you have to follow everything that he does. No. No. We're in the WWF. We're not on a military base. Again, that goes back to the whole, he has to say, I have to say jump and he has to say how high. No. No, we're not going to do that. So, alright, hit play now. Alright, press pause, because we're going to go over this, kind of one by one. So I don't know if you heard Bobby there, he's like, well, you want him to get in that ring and get killed? So my comments, if we're doing the kayfabe thing, right? My comments would be, Bobby, he's not 90 years old. He's not going to get in the ring and fall apart. You're acting like he's going to go in that and sprain an ankle or his limbs are going to fall off. And I probably wouldn't be able to keep a straight face through any of this, but I would at least try, you know, with my little snarky comments in the middle of it. But again, so we're keeping with kayfabe, and my answer to that would be, he's not 90 years old. He's not going to go into the wrestling ring and fall apart. And just because he's on injured reserved, so he's sitting out because of an injury, doesn't make him any less part of this team. He can get back in that wrestling ring when he's not on injured reserved anymore. And just because you took him out for an injury doesn't mean he forgot all the moves. He is the greatest wrestler to ever live. Okay. I would throw that in there. Okay. So again, we're talking as if we are like the last person at the table. Okay. That would be my thing. Okay, we're in Curt's corner. So that's how we're going to do this kayfabe thing. And again, like I said, I've seen this a million times. I know exactly what to say, or how if I were a character on this show, how I would react to some of the things that Bobby says, or some of the things that Razor says, or some of the things that Flair says. And again, with the whole, you want him to get in that ring and get killed? Again, not 90 years old. He's not an old guy. I mean, he's not going to fall apart. So that's why I kind of wanted to stop it at that point, because there is that point where they, Bobby makes that comment. I mean, you act like he's old and decrepit. He's not going to, make it through the night. Where he is a wrestler who is just, like I said, on injured reserved. So there you go. It's kind of like the, you're the devil's advocate. There you go. In the show. All right, let's press play now.
You don't think he's confident?
He hasn't been in the ring in how long? He's a great athlete.
Again, just because he hasn't been in the ring for over a year doesn't mean he forgot all the moves.
Is that what you're saying?
Artie, we're not talking about sandwiches. We're talking about Mr. Perfect.
Wait a minute. Stop. Give me some water. What I want to get to is the man is a perfect.
Well, he's not going to pass up an opportunity like this if he's...
Almost like he wanted to say a perfect fool.
There's no reason for him to get in the ring. Do you understand that?
Why is it they can make a lot more money? They can make a lot more money.
I can give you whatever you want. You don't have to get in that ring. Don't say
He's a wrestler. Of course he has to get in the ring. Wrestlers wrestle in a wrestling ring.
Are you afraid of Ric Flair? Are you afraid of Razor Ramon?
Yeah, that's a good reaction. Like, really? Are you people stupid?
Afraid of this operator of any man.
But I love it how he looks back at the camera and then looks at
I
Vince.
haven't been in the ring in so long. That doesn't mean that I can't walk in that ring tomorrow and perform perfectly.
Yeah, it's not like he forgot all the moves. He said it and laughed about it. Alright, we're going to stop there, so hit pause, because that was the end of the fourth segment. Okay, so like I said, I was just kind of reacting, showing you how I would react if I were sitting there, making these comments in the kayfabe form. So, I mean, he's like, there's no reason to get in the ring. Yes, he's a wrestler. Wrestlers wrestle in a wrestling ring, right? And again, I don't know how I'm saying this. Usually I can't do tongue twisters, but, the thing I want everyone to understand is that, yes, I know this is fake, but I'm just showing you how I would react if I were sitting at the end of this table. And so this segment was kind of shorter, but there was a lot of drama in this segment. So, it starts with the fact that they're still, Curt's kind of tussling with it. Oh, maybe it's a joke, maybe not. And then you have, Ric Flair and Razor Ramon kind of saying, oh, you were a great wrestler back in the day, I mean, it makes him sound old. Like he's an old wrestler that they're trying to put out the pasture, you know what I mean? So again, they're trying to talk him into doing it, and they finally do it. But some of the comments that I made in real time to show you that this is how I would, if I were a character on this set, how my character would probably react if I was in Curt's corner and I was a part of his entourage, I guess you would say. Again, I love how Curt turns to the camera and then turns back to whoever he's talking to, because he's still trying to, I don't know if he's interacting with it's more like interaction with the crowd kind of thing, like getting crowd sympathy. But I love how he looks like a little puppy dog and you just want to just, honestly, when I saw this for the first time, I wanted to hug him. I wanted to hug Curt, because just some of these faces that he makes, he honestly just, he looked like he needed a hug, okay? Call me a woman, whatever you want, but he looked like he really needed a hug. So, to be honest, I think that this was a good segment, and they're gonna get even better as they go along. Again, they're going to tease him with the fact that he was a has-been, he's not a wrestler anymore, that he should be retired, and, move on. We're done talking about this. Let's just move on with beating up Savage or whatever. They actually still have, it's almost like in the skit, they haven't really figured out that Curt is willing to turn. He wants to get back in the wrestling ring. I mean, he's a wrestler. And no, everyone seems to scoff at the idea, oh, you're not a wrestler, you're a manager, you're retired, that kind of thing. But again, Curt at the time, I believe, was only 34 years old, 34, 35 years old. So really, it wasn't so much, actually, no, I think he was maybe 33, 34. So I think he would have been 34 in 93, if I'm correct in that, 30, maybe he would have been 34, 35. I'm not really sure. I'd have to go, again, math is not my strong suit, so, so you would have to, but he wasn't, a lot of people get on football players and, when you hit 30 in football years, you're old. You know what I mean? So again, it's not like in my world and generation, 30 in wrestling years, back when I grew up with wrestling, it wasn't old. But they make it seem in the skit as if he's like an old guy, like he's older than Flair. But Flair was in his 50s when all this was going down. So again, and later in the skit, I just laughed because, they make a reference to how old Flair is to how old Curt would be. So again, we're getting to the point of they're going to start slowly talking him into turning. And we're going to have more close-up shots of Curt looking into the camera. I don't know if in that sense, if he was breaking kayfabe, or if that was more like a sympathy kind of a look, like he was giving the audience, you really feel sympathy for me, don't you? I'm not really sure what his angle was there, but I love it. I love it. Every time they do it close up, and they always pan in when he's looking at the camera. I love that. I just absolutely love that when he keeps looking at the camera, at the audience for sympathy, and they just keep panning right into a close-up shot of Curt's face, and again, it looks like he wants a hug. Okay? Alright, so that was I believe, segment 4. So I will catch you on the flip side for segment 5. Alright, this is the start of segment 5. So we're going to start out with, they're going to come back from the ring or back from commercial. And we're going to hit play now.
Continues his winning ways here in the World Wrestling Federation. Razor Ramon, par excellence in terms of his skills in the squared circle. And of course, the Razor at the Survivor Series is teaming up with Ric Flair, squaring off against the Macho Man Randy Savage and Well, we don't know. But
So now Curt, I love it when Curt smiles. He smiles like, yeah. So now, of course, they go back to talking to Savage.
Right now, because I don't know if I made the right decision or the wrong decision to throw it on the lap of Mr. Perfect like that. Maybe the pressure, I don't even know, but, Bobby the Brain Heenan and the ruthless Razor Ramon. Maybe Razor Ramon kind of scares Mr. Perfect, I don't know. And maybe it's a little bit cold in the shadow of Ric Flair. Mr. Perfect is
I love this segment.
I gave you a chance to get into the spotlight with the Macho Man Randy Savage, but perhaps all the above is true, but perhaps also Bobby the Brain Heenan's got you under his thumb, so to speak. I don't know. You know what I mean? This is something you got to ask yourself. Look in the mirror, Mr. Perfect. What do you see? You know what I think I see? I think I see that you are a little bit afraid of the whole situation, yeah. And maybe you even got the guts to be the Macho Man's tag team partner in the Survivor Series.
Savage, you shut up right there. First of all, I've never cared for you in the first place. And second of all, Razor Ramon or Ric Flair, I'm not afraid of either one. In fact, I could wrestle all three of you guys in one night by myself.
I like that.
And he absolutely could.
One thing, I don't like you either,
Oh, that's not true. These two were really good friends. In fact, there's a rap song that Savage did in tribute to Curt called his Perfect Friend. Look that up on YouTube. It's called Perfect Friend.
Then accept the challenge.
Mr. Perfect, do you have the guts or not? Are you going to consider this proposal?
It's time now.
Are you going to consider it? I'll consider it.
You're a what?
I'll consider it.
Consider? No, you're not going to consider anything.
Tell me what I'm going to consider and I'm not going to consider.
You're not going to consider for a minute. You're not going to
Tell me to sit down
You're not
either.
going to consider anything. There's nothing to consider.
All I'm going to do is consider it. There's a lot of money at stake.
I got money.
All right, I'm not a betting man.
When they bring fear into it. All right, we're going to pause now. Okay, so again, these segments are getting, a little shorter. So we're going into our last couple of segments here. So just to reiterate, again, they're going to talk to Savage, and they're going to talk to him even more, because when Curt decides, enough is enough, they're not going to tell me what to do anymore. This is kind of where I say his coming to be a man segment. Because I would be standing, well, I wouldn't be standing. Curt would be standing, but I would be my character would kind of be sitting there and I'd be in awe of him because, again, I'm in his corner. So, when he says, I'll consider it, and then he kind of gets like a little bit of a backbone and says, Bobby, you're not going to tell me what to do. You and Flair are not going to tell me what to do. So what I would put in here is, and I love it when they say, the Macho Man's teaming up with, well, we don't know. So then they take the camera to Curt and Curt's face. Love Curt's face at this point. He's like smirking like, yeah, it's going to be me. I absolutely love this segment, only because, when Perfect gets a backbone, you kind of you're like, aww. And I could see myself, staring at him in all of him, being in his presence at that moment would be like, I'm so glad we're friends. That kind of thing, I definitely really wouldn't have anything snarky to say here, except for, I probably would say, hey, Bobby, you don't own him, but then I probably would be too, I'd be staring at Curt in awe, so I don't think I'd have much to say. But I definitely would say, you don't own him. You don't own him. You don't have a right to sit here and tell us what you think we should do. Or tell us what to do. You are not the boss of me, and you certainly aren't the boss of Curt. Well, Mr. Perfect. Okay, remember, we're keeping with kayfabe. We gotta keep with names. So, you definitely don't own me, and you don't own Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect is his own person. He can say what he's going to follow and what he's not going to follow. So, again, this segment was a little shorter. So now we're going to go into other segments where he's finally going to turn on Bobby, he's going to turn on Ric Flair, and he's going to turn on Razor, and he's going to go with Savage. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty, guys. We only have a few more segments here, and the next segment is going to start with Bobby and Curt, well, Bobby and Perfect talking, you know, and he's going to say there's nothing to consider, and, you know, how my reaction to all this, you'll see in the next segment. So I will see you over there. Okay, we're going to start segment 6. We're going to start with Bobby and Mr. Perfect talking. Again, I'm going to try to, like, in real time, say my piece. But I may have to, you know, turn it down because there could be people talking. And they do kind of, sometimes they do get to the point where they're talking over each other, so it's kind of hard to understand. And, you know, I'm talking into a microphone, and you're just listening through this microphone, so I might be able to talk over them. But, well, we're just going to see. So we're going to press play now. There's nothing to consider, It's not about the money. It's about the fact that he's a wrestler.
Macho Man Randy Savage along with Ric Flair, Razor Ramon. And gentlemen, you and Charlotte can't be happy about any of this whatsoever.
You're perfect. Óyame, chico. Como se y cállate.
Totally cheesy.
Calm down and shut up. You listen to Bobby Heenan. You listen to Razor Ramon.
Why? You're not his boss.
You work for us, chico.
That doesn't mean you own us.
And one more thing, man. You say you could beat all 3 of us in one night, man?
Yeah, believe it.
Sitting on your soft behind a microphone for over 1 year.
Again, doesn't mean he forgot the moves.
3 men in 1 year, Chico. Remember where you come from, man. Ric Flair, Bobby Heenan made you somebody.
No. All right, we're going to pause right now. Okay, so when he says, Ric Flair and Bobby Heenan made you someone. No, honey. That's not how this works. Here's what my character would say. No, Razor. He came in here as a wrestler. He was Mr. Perfect before Flair and Bobby Heenan even thought about it. Even before Bobby Heenan managed him, he was Mr. Perfect. He made himself. It wasn't the other way around. So, there you go. and you know, it sounds like I'm yelling, but that's how I think my character would, if I were in this, that's how my character would react. Like, really? Seriously? Just because, you know, we work for, or not we, like, I work for him too. Just because Curt works for you does not mean you own him. You don't tell him what to do. You may be thinking you're his boss. You're not his boss. Okay. So, press play now.
Listen to me right now. Mr. Perfect.
Perfect. Kid, explain to him.
Kid?
This is a bad joke. Let's clarify it right now. Savage, McMahon...
At 34, 35, you're a kid?
Turn around. Look at Perfect. He's my baby. He's my baby. I brought him along. Perfect. Clarify.
All right, press pause now. Okay, so he's my baby, huh? This is where my character would probably laugh her ass off, because it would be like, what? At 34, you're a baby? What are you talking about? Now, I'm not saying Curt's old. I am not saying that, okay? Curt, even through most of his career, that man never aged. I don't know what Curt was doing to himself, but he never aged. He looked like he was 31. Even when he was 30, he looked like he was 20. Okay? I'm not making this up. Go back to 88. Look at Curt in the ring in 1988 when he first comes into the WWF. He looked like he was 20. He did not look like he was 30, even though he was 30 in 88. Because he was born in 58. And I do know how to do math. Well, that easy math. He would have been 30 in 88. But he does not look it. I swear to you, in 1988 and 89, that man looks 20 something. He does not look 30. And I'm not trying to boost Curt's ego from wherever he is. I'm not trying to boost your ego, okay? I'm very serious. He looks like he's 25. He does not look 30. Okay, when he was 30, he looked like he was 20 something. Okay. When he was 40, he looked 30 something. This man never aged. I have pictures of him in WCW. He does not look 40 in 98. And like I said, I have seen pictures all through his career, even in TNA. He may have looked 40 in TNA, but he sure as hell did not look 40 in WCW. He looked like he was 30 something. I'm telling you, I don't know if this man was a vampire or what he was, but I'm telling you, he did not look his age. He looks so young. And I've seen him in Portland and also in the WWF. Oh my, I'm not kidding when I say he looks 18. He doesn't look 20. So, I mean, he's had that throughout his life where he's looked like he was 30 when he should have been 40. Or he looked 20 when he should have been 30. So, I don't know what Curt's secret was, and I really wish I could ask him, because, you know, I would love to look, 20 something again. So Curt, what was your secret? If anyone has an Ouija board, can ask, okay? But no, like, I'm serious. Curt, he did not look his age. He looked so much younger. And again, I'm not saying that because he's my favorite wrestler of all time or he's the greatest wrestler to ever live. I'm just saying that he is someone to me. He looked so much younger. He did not, in this, he does not look 30. He looks 20 something. Like 28, 29. Back when he was 30. In 88, he looked like he was literally 25, 26. I wouldn't go any higher than that. But the man was 28 years old when I was born, so. But what I mean is, he looked darn young. Okay? Now, I'm not saying he's old. So, when Flair says, "You're my baby." Okay, let's get back to the Flair and "you're my baby" stuff. I'm not calling Curt old. I'm just saying, your baby at 34? What are you talking about? And how my character react to that, "Oh, you're my baby. I brought you up, you are not Larry Hennig. You are not Larry Hennig. Flair, you have a son. Stick to him. You cannot have Curt. Sorry, you cannot have Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect is not your kid. You are not Larry Hennig. You have a son. And at 34, you're a baby? Did I miss something?" So again, it goes back to the fact that now he's going to try to say, well, you walk in my shadow. No one walked in the shadow of John Wayne. That's coming up. But, all right, press play now.
Learjet, limousine, jet flying, kiss stealing. You are one of the boys now. One of my boys. And there's nothing wrong with
Again,
walking in the
you're not Larry Hennig.
in the shadow of John Wayne.
Except no one did, Flair. No one walked in the shadow of John Wayne. Are you insane?
I say that you can. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can't.
Someone name for me one time. Name one person who tried to walk in the shadow of John Wayne.
He wants you to ride in his limousine.
Someone look that up for me.
His baby, yeah. Is that what you are? You a baby? Where's your gut?
He's not a baby. At 34, you're a baby?
You want to be under heated stuff.
Goo goo gaga.
One time in your life. Don't
Perfect.
Flair,
Get out
baby.
yourself. Come on.
Perfect.
Tell him.
See you later.
Power
One time in your life.
Chico.
Are you a situation. I need a commitment from a man.
Yeah, not a baby.
Get out of that chair and get on the phone right now.
You can't tell us what to do, Flair. You're not his dad. You're not Larry Hennig.
But I need an answer from you. I had 24 hours to make my decision.
I love it. Close up of Curt again.
You, because I think you're great.
It's me.
And I think you're perfect.
You're the kid.
You're the kid. He's not a kid. He's 34 years old, Flair.
And then I'll go listen. I'll go look for somebody else.
I'm 36 years old, and I sure as heck ain't a kid anymore. Again, not calling Curt old. All right, pause now. All right, so again, that was the end of the segment. So here we go, down to the nitty gritty. He's going to ask him, what are you going to do? It's time to put up or shut up. So, lasting comments for there. You got to hear in real time how I would react. Again, he's not a baby. Okay. And Flair is not Larry Hennig. So that's how my character would react of, he has a father. You have a son. Stick with that. That kind of thing. So I would implement that he's not old, but he's not a baby either. Just the snarkiness or the attitude that Flair would have. Oh, well, I own you and you're my kid and blah, blah, blah. First of all, no, that's not true. There is no family whatsoever similarity between Curt Hennig and Ric Flair. Okay. So, but the fact they kept calling him kid, like kid in sport. Oh, you don't know what I've been through. I've been in the wrestling business. Yeah, you've been in the wrestling business longer because you're older. But again, you didn't grow up around the business like Curt did. So you have no say in what Curt should do. Curt wants to go back to the ring, or Mr. Perfect wants to get back into the ring. That is the deal. That is why we're here. Mr. Perfect's going to turn. But it's the fact that, again, everyone's talking him into this, but no one's listening to what Curt has to say until this segment. So this is the end of segment, was it 6? I will catch you on the flip side. All right, so this is segment 7, I believe. So now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. This is where Curt is going to decide to join Savage. Okay? All right, press play now.
Please, gentlemen. It is time, Mr. Perfect, for you to...
Here we go. Here's the decision.
Or shut up. Will you be the tag team partner...
And Bobby helps.
...and Randy Savage at Survivor Series? Yes or no? I'll handle this right now. Get your hand out from in front of my face.
Don't touch him, Bobby.
Listen to Savage. They got you all turned around. Just listen to me. It's time someone takes charge here, and I'm going to do it. People in life have to take orders.
Yeah, if you're on a military base. We're not on a military base. This is the WWF. No. So if you guys run into commercials, just pause. You can always just pause my podcast. Here we go.
I'll give you an answer. I accept.
Oh. Alright, press pause now. So here is where my character would be like, oh, you just hit my man, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. So again, this is where you start to feel that pump and that adrenaline rush of, oh, I can't believe you just hit him. That kind of thing. And my man, my wrestler, that kind of thing. So I can't believe you just hit my favorite wrestler, that kind of thing. What I would say is, Bobby, you hit him again, so help me, I will send your butt to the Undertaker. I think that's where my character, if we were keeping with kayfabe, would go. And I don't mean the wrestler, the Undertaker. I mean a real Undertaker. Again, we're just kind of playing with this. This is just kind of fun. I don't mean physical threats. Not real ones. Again, we're just having fun with this. This is kayfabe. Okay? So, Curt has him by the tie, and he's gonna say, you don't touch me. You don't touch me. You hit me. You don't touch Mr. Perfect. on a side note, I probably go, no, only I'm allowed to do that. No, no, I'm just kidding. That's just a funny little thing. But no, like, my character would be in agreement that if you touch my favorite wrestler, something bad's gonna happen to you. That's what I would stick with. So, alright, press play now.
Something right now. You don't put your hands on me. Survivor Series, I'm gonna be in the corner of the Macho Man Randy Savage. I accept it, Savage. Bobby Heenan, I want to tell you, you put your hands on the wrong person. You just got done putting your hands on Mr. Perfect. You don't touch Mr. Perfect. I know. You've been holding me back all these years. You've been putting me on the back burner. Ric Flair has been walking in my shadow. Ric Flair wants to fill my shoes.
That's right.
They tore us apart. I didn't mean to hit you. God knows I'd never do that.
Get your hand off of me.
I'll get down on my knees. I'll get down on one knee and tell you something. Please, we'll never do it again. I'll never do anything wrong. I promise you. I'll buy you a car. I'll get you a boat. I'll give you.
He doesn't need any of those things.
I'll get on both knees, perfect.
Because it's not getting him back into the wrestling ring.
Don't do that
For a man.
Please don't do that. Please don't.
Okay, now he pours the water on him. Alright, hit pause now. I wonder, honestly, because he really pours that water on him. I wonder if that was a rib. Because Curt was known for ribs. I don't know if the script called for, like, 3/3 of the water to be poured on him, but I wonder sometimes if Curt just kind of poured almost the whole thing on him, just for a rib. That would be kind of awesome to hear. But, no, great skit. So far, what I would say is right here, the part where he gets on his knees. I'll get on my knees. Perfect. I'll beg you not to go. He almost sounds like a battered wife. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I'm so sorry. Please don't hit me. That kind of thing. That's what it reminded me of. And I was just like, wow. I wonder if Bobby did that on purpose, or if it was just kind of like the thing that Bobby just kind of off the top of his head, I'll just get down and act like I'm a battered wife, and oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again, please don't hurt me, I'll never ever do it again, blah, 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 blah. Again, I don't know if this was all scripted that way, or if it was just kind of like off the cuff kind of thing, where he was just, well, I gotta do something, I gotta make sure this guy doesn't leave, I don't want him to face Flair, that kind of thing. But yeah, it was like, when I first saw this, it was like, oh my God, he's acting like a battered wife, like a wife who's begging for her life not to be beaten up. And I mean, it feels that way. It feels so real. And like I said, that's why this skit worked with a lot of people, because, Perfect was sticking up for his morals, as I said, he gets a backbone. Okay, so he finds his balls, I guess you want to say. He grows some balls, and he's got the balls to do this and do that. So it's like he found his manhood again, and he's being what he needs to be. Okay, hit play now. And then he just kind of, and everyone's clapping, yay! Hit pause now. Alright, so this is the end of segment 7, I believe. So again, a lot of this segment was, Bobby Heenan saying, I'm going to take charge here. And Curt said, no, you aren't. I'm my own person. You don't tell me what to do or what to say. It kind of goes back to, like, if you're going to silence me, I'm going to betray you. Not betray you, but I'm going to step up on my own 2 feet. I don't need you. I don't need your team. And you're everything that they said that you were. You're trying to keep me in the back burner. You don't really care about my career. You are blowing off the fact that I was a wrestler and I've been a wrestler. And, I mean, all you're saying is that I'm a manager. I'm a manager. I'm a manager. No, I'm a wrestler on injured reserve, and I can return at any time when I feel better. So, this was a good segment. Again, I don't really have any snarky comments to say other than when he says, about the battered wife kind of thing. I can't, fathom how much it seemed like that to me when I was first watching this. So, like, in the beginning, now I've seen this a million billion times, so I know exactly what's going to come ahead of these segments. So for some of you that have never heard this or never seen this before, this is actually how I feel about the situation, because in 92, I was only 6 years old and I did not see this. So, when I saw it when I was an adult, or I was able to get to it when I was an adult, that's kind of how I reacted. And in the 90s, you were hearing a lot about abuse cases more often. So I wondered if they were kind of bringing that to light. Not that Curt would hurt anybody. He would never hurt a fly. Not in real life, okay? Mr. Perfect was a great character, and he was a great wrestler, okay? That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is the man, Curt Hennig, he would never hurt a fly. To insinuate that he would hurt anyone, I think is being disingenuous, because he was such a great man. So anyway, this is the end of this segment. Those are my comments about it, so I will see you in the next segment. Okay, we're going to open up this segment. They're going to do a little bit of a commercial here, and then we're going to get back into it. Okay, so press play now. And I think this was like a prelude to Survivor Series, so they actually had matches before Survivor Series. I love how Curt just laughs along with everybody else.
Survivor Series, it is going to happen. The Macho Man Randy Savage teams up with Mr. Perfect. Let's take you back to Sarasota. Randy Savage, you gotta be ecstatic.
Savage is gonna use football analogies here. Of course, Mr. Perfect's not a baby. That's not true.
And I could get for the Survivor Series. I put the ball and you ran with it. Yeah, you scored a touchdown. Congratulations, and let's do it at the Survivor Series. Thumbs up.
All right. Right now, let's take you over to Charlotte. Yeah. Charlotte, North Carolina. Are you there, Ric Flair?
Yo, perfecto.
I love this part.
Stupido. What are you thinking about, man? You double.
Getting back in the wrestling ring there, genius. Ooh, nobody cares. You're not scary with that cheesy accent.
You had life at your fingertips. Wine, women, song, leadership. Limousines a mile long. A lifestyle that kings live to have. You had me guiding you through life. I gave you everything.
That's not a life.
I gave you life after wrestling.
Except that he wasn't done wrestling, Flair. You think he was retired. He was not retired. This is not life after wrestling if you have to guide him through life. You act like he was an old person in an old folks' home. Oh, God. I don't like when Ric Flair gets naked. It's Mr. Perfect to you, Flair.
See whose career's not going to survive the Survivor Series. That's you, Razor Ramon, and that's you, Ric Flair. You know, Flair, you've wanted to be like me for a long time. Well,
it's true.
Bad. You know, it's too bad. And you, Razor Ramon, give me a break. Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna give you a break.
No, not an announcer, Flair. You wanted to be a second-generation superstar who grew up around the business.
In the ring at the same time. You know what you got? Not much. Oh yeah? You know what you got? You got the perfect.
Mr. Cheesemo over here, all the cheesy bling and accent.
Prove it when. And after Survivor Series is all over with, and Macho Man Randy Savage and Mr. Perfect are standing in the middle of the ring with our hands held high in victory. A sign of perfection.
When this is over, I'll tell you what the comeback I would do with Razor Ramon.
When you're laying down, when you're on your way out of that ring, and I'm standing there with the Macho Man in victory, the last thing you hear will be, woo!
That's Mr. Perfect to you. Stop calling him Hennig. Alright, and hit pause because it's going to end anyway. Okay, so that is the end of our watch along. So, I did mention that I was, if I were sitting there, this is one of the things I would say, and let me just tell you that it's something that my father says all the time. My father says, so it's something I've heard all my life. Okay. But if I were a character in Curt's corner, sitting there, reacting to Razor Ramon, this is what I would say. Dude, no offense, but if I had a dog that looked like you, I'd shave its ass and make it walk backwards. Okay, again, that is my father saying, not mine, so I had to credit my dad with that. But again, I heard it all of my life. But I agree with, that would be like a great comeback to come back with, okay? Because Razor Ramon, he thinks he's all that, he's big and bad, I'm a big Cuban, rah, 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 rah. You know, okay, rah. No. What I would say is, okay, Mr. Latino. You Latino rejects. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Too cheesy of an accent, too cheesy of bling that he's got around there. No, sorry. It's not happening. It's not doing it for me, okay? I don't think Scott Hall was Latino. I think he was just a white guy, but, but yeah, the machismo and the cheesy accent, I'm sorry, it doesn't do it for me. I have to throw that out there. But yeah, that's definitely what I would come back with at this point. And that's, look, dude, you are as cheesy could be. So again, I would go with the comeback of, oh, you know, if I had a dog that looked like you, I'd shave its ass and make it walk backwards. So, again. I like Scott Hall. He's not, like, again, my favorite or anything. But, at this point, I would leave it up to the fact that, you know, he just, Scott Hall was too cheesy of a character, or Razor Ramon was too cheesy of a character for me. Okay, the accent, no. Okay, sorry, it's not doing it for me. And like I said, I'm not trying to be pedantic or anything, and I'm not trying to say that Scott Hall wasn't a good wrestler. He was. It's just the gimmick. The gimmick is not, it wasn't doing it for me. So, I think that was why I probably was not as big of a Scott Hall fan as, like, most people. But, so my comments on this whole thing, of our watch along is over. So, again, and you got to hear me in real time, as if I were really a character sitting next to Curt or sitting next to Jim, and giving my comment or my commentary, if I were really there in that skit at that time, instead of being 6 years old. But I think the funniest part would be if I would come back and say something snarky to Razor Ramon. Or say, Flair, you are not Curt's father. Okay, you are not Larry Hennig. So can we stop with the whole, you're my baby, you're my son kind of thing? Because, again, Perfect had a father, and Flair had a son. Now, I don't know if Flair would want us to bring up the fact that he had a son at the time. I don't know. but it would be something snarky to come back with, okay? I would be the comic relief of, no. You don't need Curt because you have a son, okay? That's your son. Curt's not your son. Okay, just want to make sure we got that straight. But yeah, I would save the best for last and say the snarky comment of, oh, you know, if I had a dog that looked like you, Razor Ramon, I'd shave its ass and make it walk backwards. That kind of thing. I'd have to throw that out somewhere. I don't know where I would throw that out. I could see them stopping a couple of times and be like, where did you come up with that? You know, because they're just all doubled over laughing or something. I'd be like, hey, it's my dad. What can I say? My dad would say something like that. Love you, Dad. Just wanted to say that. Okay. So, and I could see Larry Hennig too. If Larry Hennig was, sitting beside Curt, I could literally see Larry just like staring at this, like, what is wrong with you? And not looking at Curt, but like, you know, looking at Flair and looking at, Razor and of course Bobby Heenan. I could see Larry Hennig just be like, what are you guys talking about? What? This doesn't make any sense. Because I know Larry's, you know, funny side when, you know, bear hunting with a switch. So I mean, this whole skit and caboodle is what I call it. The whole thing was just absolutely wonderful. A great script. And like I said, I could see myself being kayfabed into it. So like the snarky comments part of it, I could see, again, I've seen it a million times. And I know what I would put my 2 cents into. Or what my character would do if I were in Curt's corner and he was going to, you know, switch over. So, honestly, that's all I have to say about our watch along. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me and for watching along to Curt's babyface turn in 92. And again, if you'd like to support my work, you can absolutely go to patreon.com, and in the search field, you can look for Mr. Perfect is Perfect with all the spaces in there. And I got a $3 and a $6. The $3, I will give you shout outs. And the $6, I forgot what else is in there, but there's good stuff to come. I am going to ramp it up. I'm even trying to get some bloopers together because, again, guys, I get tongue-tied and I can't tell you how many times I've screwed up or I've smacked my microphone by accident or anything. And I myself, I love bloopers. I love watching. Sometimes I think the bloopers to shows are literally better than the shows themselves, you know, cause I love seeing people screw up. So that's in the works too. Maybe just have like an episode just to all my bloopers and stuff as like a, you know, an end kind of extra thing. If you become a Patreon, again, patreon.com, and in the search field, Mr. Perfect is Perfect. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed talking about it and hearing my commentary of every time that, you know, Curt would talk. I just love the fact that Curt would look into the camera. That should be a blooper itself, right? I just love it because it was like that sympathy look, you know, like, give me sympathy. I'm the one they're talking about here. So I hope you enjoyed this. And like I said, I plan to do some other watch-alongs, maybe like WrestleMania 9, with Curt and Lex Luger, because I heard some behind-the-scenes things about Curt during the, WrestleMania 9, match. I also would probably do a watch-along of Curt and Ric Flair, Loser Leave Town match, because you talk about a great match. What a great match that was. And what's weird is it should have been a pay-per-view match, I think, but it was done on Monday Night Raw. So it was like the second episode of Monday Night Raw. So I'd like to do a watch-along with that. I would also like to do a watch-along of the match between Bret and Curt in 91. Also maybe some WCW stuff. Maybe when he comes in, we could do a watch along. Oh, I know. I wanted to do the NWO turn that he does to the NWO during Fall Brawl. So we're going to watch that and then comment about it. Because I think it was like a duh kind of thing to do, especially with Curt in the WCW. So, yeah, we're going to have some great episodes. I still am working on the Rick Rude episode, still working on the Larry Hennig episodes. I plan on talking to Jesse Ventura again about both Rick Rude and Larry Hennig. So I'm going to get back on Clubhouse and see what else I can scrunch up from, Jesse's memory. Especially about, there's a Survivor Series, I think it was 89. Rick Rude was teamed with Curt, so, I kind of want to see if Jesse remembers commentating that. So there are some more and exciting things to come, so just stay with us. I'm going to try to get a few, wrestling fans to talk to as well. And like I said, if you have any information on how to get a hold of Joe Hennig, I would love to talk to him about his dad and, you know, get his perspective on all the things that happened between him and his dad, and just get to know Curt from a personal stance, a personal point of view. So, if you have any information, please let me know, how I can get a hold of him. And again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. All right. Remember, everyone, nobody beats Mr. Perfect. Nobody.